Orochimaru vs. Four-tailed Naruto is a neat fight that often gets overlooked in the Naruto community. Orochimaru showed up expecting to fight Sasori, but was surprised to find that Team 7 came instead. Four-tailed Naruto and Orochimaru end up having a short but interesting fight. This was the first time we had ever seen version 2 in the series, and it was the only time we saw Orochimaru go all out in a fight. They have an interesting sequence where they go back and forth, but neither of them are able to get through their defenses. While everyone else nearby is terrified, Orochimaru seems to be having, strangely, a fun time. He ends the fight by lifting up Four-tailed Naruto high up into the air and slamming him across the forest. Kabuto concludes that this isn't even a fight between two shinobi, and they're more like two monsters fighting. Orochimaru's arsenal is not very shinobi-like, but he is still a former member of the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki are supposed to be capable of capturing full-tailed beasts in pairs, and yet Orochimaru made no progress against a version 2 Naruto. It makes me wonder if the Nine-Tails is just that much stronger than the other tailed beast in version 2 alone. This begs the question of how well all other Akatsuki members would do in Orochimaru's position here. This is the newest video in my What If vs. Battle Hybrid series. For videos like this, I usually take a battle and swap out one opponent with many others to gauge how well they would do in the original fighter's circumstances. For example, I've done a video where I've swapped out Kisame with each Akatsuki member in his fight against B to judge how well they would do. In this video scenario, I'll be changing the circumstances just a little. Because of how this scenario is not too far-fetched, I'll be saying that each Akatsuki member is attempting to capture the Nine-Tails in this situation. This means that the primary win condition is to defeat Naruto without killing him, the secondary win condition is to flee if need be, and the tertiary win condition is to kill Naruto in order to save their life. Lastly, Kabuto will be on each Akatsuki member's side, and Naruto will be just as enraged as he was originally. The first Akatsuki member I'll be doing is Hidan. While Kabuto and Yamato are talking, Hidan will appear and destroy Yamato's sasori disguise. Yamato will signal for the other members of Team 7 to come and assist him. Naruto will already be in his one-tail state, which was fast enough to blitz Orochimaru while he was off guard. I can see the same thing happening for Hidan, but because of his immortality, he'll not take any damage from this. Shortly after that, Naruto will sprout two more tails and begin rampaging. Orochimaru lost an arm during this sequence, so I would expect for Hidan to at least lose an arm as well. He did admit he was the slowest in the Akatsuki after all. After this, Naruto will transition into his version 2 state. Hidan won't be able to do anything against Naruto at this point. Orochimaru couldn't pierce his skin with his snake sword, which is supposed to be a blade that cuts through blades. Hidan's scythe has no chance of drawing blood here. Four-tailed Naruto was able to cut through Orochimaru like butter, so when Hidan tries to get close, the same thing will happen. It kinda sucks for Hidan because he's never cleared a win condition in any of these videos. It's just because on his own, he individually has such a low ceiling compared to all the other Akatsuki members. Kakuzu definitely helped to get the most out of his arsenal, considering he could give him suppressive fire and sew back any body parts that fell off. Next is Kakuzu. I'm sure Kakuzu will do fine while Naruto is in version 1, considering that the two tails stepped on him, and he still managed to end up defeating it. Even if Naruto manages to take a limb here, Kakuzu has the ability to reattach it easily. Once Naruto enters version 2 state, Kakuzu will respond by letting his 4 mask out of his body. One thing I should note is that in this particular version 2 state, Naruto can't move. Many people don't notice this, but Naruto stays in one spot for the entire fight, and only moves when Orochimaru lifts him across the forest. He even resorts to manifesting chakra arms to chase Orochimaru because he literally can't move laterally. This is because of how Naruto's body is unable to handle such dense chakra, and Orochimaru also notes all of this while fighting him. This is where things get interesting because of scaling the two tails to version 2 Naruto. We know that Kakuzu and Hidan defeated the two tails, we just don't know how. It happens off panel, and all we see is that the town gets destroyed and the host becomes victim to Hidan's curse. But how did they pull this off? We saw that one of Kakuzu's mask attack was only able to scuff up Kakashi at point blank range. Kakuzu's raw strength may be able to do some damage, but I don't see it defeating the two tails. I also don't think his master jutsus are strong enough. It's possible that Kakuzu drew blood from the two tails and then Hidan's curse is what defeated it. It could explain why we see Hidan doing his ritual after the battle. There is also the fact that Kakuzu lost to regular Naruto as well. Of course, Naruto's Rasen Shuriken was very deadly, but Four-tailed Naruto has a deadly attack as well. He fired a tailed beast bomb that had a much larger blast radius. However, the Rasen Shuriken is a much more refined attack. I still do believe that a tailed beast bomb would be devastating for Kakuzu, considering that Orochimaru didn't even want to tank it. And Orochimaru can practically regenerate from any injury. We know that Kakuzu has high levels of durability, considering that he did survive the two tails stepping on him. A tailed beast bomb seems to be much more powerful though, and if Kakuzu was hit by this, it would probably put him in a losing position. In fact, Kakuzu doesn't really have a path to victory here. His mask attack could damage Kakashi some, but four-tailed Naruto could definitely tank them or overpower them. Just him slapping the ground caused Orochimaru's large swarm of snakes to basically evaporate. His masks aren't very useful here, so his raw strength is all he has. The problem is, we don't know quite exactly how strong he is. Orochimaru was able to knock four-tailed Naruto off of its feet, so Kakuzu could definitely hit him even further. If he starts beating up four-tailed Naruto, then four-tailed Naruto will just retaliate with a tailed beast bomb. Kakuzu has no way to escape this, so we just have to resort to tanking it. If he manages to survive this, I don't expect for him to be in a fighting shape, and we'll have to resort to fleeing. If he does survive, he could easily escape, considering that Naruto's body can't move laterally, with such dense chakra weighing him down. Even if we highball his durability and say that he could continue fighting, he still doesn't have a strong wing condition anyway. He could hurt four-tailed Naruto in close quarters combat, but four-tailed Naruto could fight back as well. It's a toss-up on whether he survives this or not, considering he didn't immediately die after getting hit by a Rasen Shuriken. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, considering that Kabuto could carry him off and potentially heal him if his condition is life-threatening. This means that Kakuzu manages to clear the secondary wing condition. Next is Sasori. Sasori will start in his Haruka shell, which is good because one-tailed Naruto is going to break it when he blitzes him. He's going to have to immediately use his third Kazekage puppet here. We haven't seen much of how powerful the three-tailed Naruto is, but the Iron Sand should probably hold up well enough to at least protect Sasori. Shortly after that, though, Naruto will enter into his version 2 state. Because Naruto is immobile here, I imagine Sasori would just start by trying to penetrate his armor with the Iron Sand. I'm not sure if this would work though, considering that the Kusanagi blade did not. It's hard to say whether or not it could, so let's just ignore it for now. Another thing Sasori could try would be using his poisonous gas since he's fighting an immobile opponent. This wouldn't work either because Naruto can just slap the ground and disperse all the gas just through sheer force. All of Sasori's other puppets are useless offensively here, so let's look at Naruto's offense. He can use his chakra arms to chase around Sasori, and this would be bothersome for Sasori. He can also try a tailed beast bomb, but Sasori can actually counter this. When Six Tails Naruto tried this against Pain, Pain was able to change the bomb's trajectory by hitting Naruto with a boulder. Sasori could easily do the same with a block of Iron Sand. There's really not much to this fight because both fighters counter each other so well. Naruto's only path to victory would be hitting Sasori with his chakra arms, but this isn't a very viable one. Sasori can rely on his Iron Sand to help him evade Naruto's attacks. Sasori's only path to victory would be hoping that his Iron Sand could either penetrate Naruto's armor or just use the Iron Sand as a blunt force attack. We don't know much about what the Iron Sand is capable of, but it has been implied that it is the best form of magnet release. Even better than Raza's Gold Sand, which was able to frequently subdue the One-Tails. However, Sasori controls a much smaller proportion of sand compared to Raza. Even if we lowball the Iron Sand here, it would definitely still restrain Naruto just for a little bit at least. Yamato's Wood Style could after all, but at the same time Wood Style can constrain a tailed beast chakra upon contact. I still lean towards Sasori being able to restrain him for long enough in order to use some poison gas to subdue him. Or it might even be possible that the Iron Sand can stab him and poison him that way. Any poison Sasori uses should be able to be nullified later on by an antidote. We never saw Sasori make an antidote, but Chio attempted to, and Sakura figured out how to within a day or so. Considering the fact that Sasori manufactured the poison, he should be able to make an antidote as well. At worst, Sasori is fleeing him and completing the secondary one condition, but I lean towards Sasori poisoning Naruto and clearing the primary one condition. Next is Deidara. Deidara, while off guard, was able to react to Sasuke blitzing him, so he might be able to react to one-tailed Naruto here. If not, he's going to take a significant hit. I more lean towards Deidara being fine here. At the very least, I would expect for him to evade in a way that will help mitigate the damage. After that, Deidara will immediately get onto his C2 dragon in order to create the distance he needs when he fights. Before Deidara can really do anything, Naruto will progress into his version 2 state. This actually might be worse off for Naruto because now he's a sitting duck for Deidara's explosions. I imagine C3 would be too much firepower considering that he threatened to blow up a majority of the Sand Village with it. C1 isn't very effective here, but C2 might be. When he fought Sasuke, he was able to blow off one of his curse mark wings, so this means one C2 explosive at a time likely won't cut it either. On the other hand though, we did see Deidara produce an explosion large enough to tip the Turtle Island on its back, It should be noted that even the 8 tails look small on this island, and it is probably closer to the 10 tails in size based off rough estimations. However, I should also mention that Kabuto's clone of Manda helped flip it over, along with the explosion. This particular explosion may or may not have been a C3 level explosion, so there's a lot of gray area on what Deidara can do with just C2s. I will say that it is possible that he activates several C2s at the same time in order to get the job done. As for four-tailed Naruto, he has some offensive options as well. His chakra arms should be able to extend high up in the air, but I expect for Deidara to be able to evade them. He evaded Gaara's sand well for the most part, and even if he gets knocked off of his C2 dragon, he can create something else to fly on. When Sasuke destroyed his C2 dragon, he managed to get back onto a bird before hitting the ground. The only other thing four-tailed Naruto can do is use his tailed beast bomb. Deidara is in the air though, so it will be easier for him to evade, considering he can evade up and down and left and right. Orochimaru had no hope to evade because it's so much easier to aim when Naruto only has to aim on one axis. Another thing to consider is that the tailed beast bomb is actually very small, and so it makes contact with any object. That makes it even easier for Deidara to avoid since it is such a small projectile. I'm confident it doesn't explode until it makes contact, considering that it didn't explode until it hit Orochimaru's Rashomon gate. We also saw that when Kurama's chakra repelled several Biju bombs at once, they didn't explode until they hit the mountains far away. So I wouldn't say that Naruto has a wing condition here, considering how Deidara can just evade all of the attacks. Deidara, on the other hand, has the potential to defeat four-tailed Naruto if he can control his explosives well enough. Firepower isn't the issue here, considering that his biggest explosions are village level or have the capability to move Turtle Island. It's possible it doesn't work, but I lean towards Deidara using many C2s at once to wear down Naruto enough to capture him. This means Deidara probably clears the primary wing condition. Next is Kisame. This fight is much different from the other fights. When B tried to attack Kisame with a 7-tailed version 1 cloak, Samihada managed to devour 6 tails worth of chakra from it. So when Naruto tries to blitz him with only 1 tail, it'll simply fail because Samihada will eat all the 9 tails chakra here. This would leave Naruto without any Kyuubi chakra, and he likely won't be able to get it back in this state. When Naruto started growing tails in the Kazekage retrieval arc, Kakashi suppressed it with a chakra tag, and we didn't see Kurama start to take over again in that arc. Even if Naruto's rage is so great in this situation, it won't be hard for Kisame to just reduce him back to base again. This means that this will turn into a fight of Kisame and Kabuto versus Yamato, Sakura, and bloodlusted Naruto. Sai is a wild card here because he didn't switch sides until the 3-tailed Naruto caused absolute chaos. For the sake of the hypothetical, we'll say that Kabuto is on the Akatsuki side, along with Sasuke. This allows for them to want to capture Naruto, and for Sai to want to join them in order to assassinate Sasuke. In this situation, I would expect for Sai to fight with Team 7 until they either lose or retreat. It kind of doesn't matter anyway because Team 7 has no hope against Kisame. Sasuke heavily embarrassed his team, although Naruto and Sakura had some mental debuffs in that encounter. Kisame is still someone who defeated Killer B, and Killer B fatally wounded Sasuke twice in their fights. Hopefully I don't have to explain that Kisame is on a level that this team is just not. If Sasuke can beat this team, then Kisame, with the help of Kabuto, can as well. Kisame easily clears the primary win condition here. Next is Itachi. This fight ends up about the same as Kisame's because Itachi can suppress Naruto's chakra as well. Sasuke was able to use his Sharingan to suppress the 9 tails when Naruto began to get overtaken by Kyuubi chakra. If Sasuke can do that, then Itachi can definitely do that. So this leaves a 4v2 that Itachi can definitely win. If Itachi wants to make this quick, he can use Amaterasu to take out the killable targets. Sasuke was unable to dodge this, and he had already demonstrated how much faster he was than this team. After that, he can put Naruto under a paralysis genjutsu, considering that Itachi put Naruto under base Sharingan genjutsu twice in part 2. This means Itachi easily clears the primary win condition. Last is Pain. When Naruto sprouted 6 tails, he was barely able to resist an almighty push, so in a 1-tailed state, he can't blitz the Diva Path. If Naruto tries to blitz any of the other paths, the Diva Path will just repel him. The Diva Path can also pull him towards the Preta Path, so that the Preta Path can absorb the Kyuubi chakra. Nagato did this against Sage Mode Naruto, and he was able to absorb Naruto's nature energy, so he can do the same thing here. Once again, Team 7 is woefully outmatched here. The passive Pain took out the entire Leaf Village, and only sustained 1 casualty that was later repaired. Even if something crazy happens with Naruto and the 9 tails, Pain could just use planetary devastation to contain it. This means Pain easily clears the primary win condition. This what if versus battle hybrid was a little different from the others, considering that only one Akatsuki member died, and most of them cleared the primary win condition. It was also a bit one-dimensional, considering that Four-tailed Naruto had a limited arsenal and couldn't even move. Even despite that, I'm surprised by how well the Akatsuki did in this scenario, considering Orochimaru made no progress in this fight. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Comment something if you have something to say. And thank y'all for watching, and I guess I'll see y'all next time.